topic for this discussion today is about this little piece of equipment right here between your camera and your tripod. It's an important piece of equipment, and we're going to talk about three different variations of this. We're going to talk about the ball head, we're going to talk about the fluid head, and the gimbal. Each of them have specific pros and cons in using them, and depending on what type of imagery is going to depend on what type of mechanism that you're going to want to have on your tripod. There's going to be three pros and three cons to each of these topics we talk about. Are there more? Yes, but we're going to go with the three major things that make these good products or make them possibly a problem if you're trying to do a certain type of imagery. So let's get to it. Here's the ball head mechanism. And the three pros to it are it's very versatile, it's very quick, it's lightweight. The cons are there's a limited amount of weight you can put on this piece of equipment. It has difficulty in small adjustments, and there's a lack of smooth motion. So when we're talking about how versatile it is, because it is on a ball head, you have all this versatility to it. So it's very, very versatile. That's why a lot of times on your moderately to low price tripods, this head will probably already be there, a ball head. It is very hard to do small increment adjustments, and that is one of the cons to it. Is it's very hard to get a small adjustment. A lot of times you'll make a small adjustment, you'll turn it loose, and it'll seem to move a little bit. And you do have a lack of smooth motion with it, as I just indicated, and spinning it around and flipping it back and forth. You can pan by holding it like this and doing a nice little pan, but you don't have near the control. You don't have near the smooth motion that you will with the fluid head that we're going to discuss next. So this is a very, very good mechanism to put on your tripod. It may already be there, and for your application, this may be exactly what you need. This is our fluid head. Fluid head is predominantly used for shooting video. The three pros: smooth movements, precise control, dynamic balance. Three cons: the size and weight. It is less versatile, and it's temperature sensitive. When I'm saying temperature sensitive, there is a fluid in there. So if the conditions get very hot or very cold, it can affect the viscosity of that fluid. Just something to think about. Now, when we're talking about smooth movements, when you're shooting video, you like to have a nice pan, nice smooth motion. When you're doing a tilt, nice smooth motion, and you've got great dynamic balance. You put it in a particular situation, and you have that balance. Now on some of the higher end fluid heads, you have small adjustments that you can make, so it is very adjustable. When we're talking about the size and the weight of a fluid head, this is a very tiny one. This is a small rig CH20. I will leave a link to it down in my equipment in the comments. For me, this tiny little fluid head does just what I need when I'm shooting video. It's almost the size, if not even smaller, than the ball head, and it works fine for my application. But these things can get amazingly large. They can get to where they have multiple handles. They can have counterbalance. They can have electric motors on them, make them very large and very heavy. And that's why that is considered one of the cons to the fluid head. If you're going to be shooting video, this is where you go. You go with the fluid head. So here we are with the gimbal, and the three pros to it are balance, smooth motion, and multi-access. The three cons is, once again, size and weight, just like the pan head, or the fluid head. They're not suitable for landscape or close-up photography, and there is a lot involved in the control and balance of setting this up. So as far as the smooth motion, somewhat like the fluid head, you have this smooth motion that you can follow things around. You have the multi-access, so you have a lot of control of where it goes. And it's a wonderful tool. When it comes to its own is during this situation. This is where the gimbal shines. When you have a piece of equipment like this. If you have a lot of weight and a lot of lens, this is where the gimbal comes into play. The balance, the smooth motion, the multi-axis. Yes, it does take a little while to get it set up, because once you have it balanced, you can put it in the position you want and it'll stay there. So taking all this weight off of you, putting it on a mechanism where you can still get your shot, you can still get your imagery. This is where the gimbal shines. We've discussed 3 different types of heads and their applications. Something else you need to know, this is a simple thing, but sometimes people don't think about it. As far as when you have your equipment on your tripod, the camera has a tendency to be front heavy because of the way it's designed. It's not really balanced. And depending on what lenses you put on, it can even become heavier and heavier in that direction. Just as a basic rule of thumb, just something to keep in mind. If in any way possible, you can keep your equipment facing one of the legs, it makes it much more stable. It's has a less possibility of falling over because the weight is directly in line with one of the legs. If you have your weight off to the side, it's very easy for it to go over. Now there's normally a hook at the bottom of the shaft in the center, and you can put weight on that. You can put equipment or anything that substantially adds weight to the tripod to keep it from turning over. But as a basic rule of thumb, try to keep your equipment facing one of the legs. It'll stay a lot more stable. That last bit of information I gave you is really important. I can't stress it enough, is to keep the weight of your camera and your lens over one of the legs. If you've ever had your equipment fall off of a tripod, it's heartbreaking. It's a lot of equipment, a lot of expense, and the idea that maybe you could have stopped that even makes things worse. So try to keep your weight over that one particular leg. I hope you found it educational and helpful, and if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe. Someday I would like to be monetized on this channel. That's my goal. And I'm a little shy of that goal. I am only 3,960 subscriptions away, so I'm that close. You wouldn't mind subscribing, and let's kind of reduce that number somewhat, I would appreciate it. Once again, thank you for watching the video, and I hope you have a great day.